Good afternoon. I'm here in Wallasey village this afternoon outside the Lighthouse Inn pub. As I'm sure you're all aware by now, on Christmas Eve there was an unspeakable tragedy shortly before midnight. 26-year-old Elle Edwards, a popular beautician from the New Brighton area, was shot dead when a gunman in the car park opened fire towards the front entrance of the pub. Now we know that numerous shots were fired, somewhere in the region of 10 to 12 shots towards the front entrance, as I say, where Elle was stood with a group of other people. But tragically, one of those bullets struck Elle in the back of the head and she suffered catastrophic, unsurvivable injuries. We know 4 other men were also injured, although all have survived their injuries, and their injuries are no longer described as life-threatening. So we understand today that the Lighthouse Inn, as you can see behind me, has decided to reopen today after staying closed on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. It's difficult to describe it as business as normal, because I'm sure for anyone involved nothing will be normal after this incident. Earlier today an inquest was formally opened into Ellie's death at Liverpool Coroner's Court in Gerard Majella Courthouse. The coroner, Anita Bardwaj, formally released Ellie's body back to her family so funeral arrangements can begin to be made, and the inquest was adjourned while the police investigation is ongoing. Now, detectives involved in investigating Ellie's death are particularly interested in 2 key aspects of the case. One is the location of the black Mercedes believed to have been used in the incident, and one is the location of the firearm used to shoot at Ellie, neither of which have been recovered yet. There has been progress in the investigation so far. As we know, 3 people have been arrested in connection with the shooting. One, a 30-year-old man from Tranmere, was arrested on suspicion of murder and attempted murder. He's since been released from custody, but also recalled to prison for breaching his licence. We also know that a 31-year-old man from the Tranmere area was arrested on suspicion of conspiracy to murder, and a 19-year-old woman from Rock Ferry was also arrested on suspicion of conspiracy to murder. Both of those have since been released on bail. Now, since the shooting on Christmas Eve, detectives have said the community response has been fantastic. They've praised the amount of intelligence that's coming from people in the Wallasey area and the wider Wirral area. Around 10 days after the shooting, detectives said that in the region of 150 individual pieces of intelligence have been submitted by the public, and that includes CCTV footage, includes tip-offs about individuals and information on wider tensions in the Wirral area. So the response so far has been fantastic, but obviously, as we know, detectives are still extremely keen on information on anything to do with Ellie's death, and in particular the location of the firearm and the location of the black Mercedes. The Echo understands that the Mercedes was in the car park outside the Lighthouse Inn for around an hour before the shooting started, so that is obviously a key line of inquiry for detectives. Now, those wider tensions that was mentioned, that Merseyside Police mentioned, we've covered quite extensively so far this year. We've had a number of incidents in various estates around Wirral and Birkenhead, and there is an issue with gang-related violence on the Wirral this year. Now, it's too early to say whether that is directly related to what happened here on Christmas Eve, but it's certainly a line of inquiry for detectives, and they've said that all lines of inquiry remain open. So what we know is there's been issues in the Woodchurch estate, and in particular and the Beechwood estate, between organised crime groups, and there's been an explosion, if you can put it that way, of gun crime in the past couple of years, and of course gun crime and firearms discharges are something which particularly, or have been particularly rare on the Wirral. It was never, although drug dealing and gang related activity has obviously been an issue to various degrees over the years, gun crime has never really exploded in the Wirral as it has in other areas of Merseyside. So what the scenes we've seen in the past couple of years have been particularly worrying and concerning. And we know earlier this year there was a very serious incident on Hoole Road in the Woodchurch estate where a man was shot multiple times in a drive-by shooting. We've also had a man shot in the legs more recently and a shooting in Noctorum. So the detectives are particularly concerned about that rise in gun crime, and prevention work, disruption work has been going on since then to try and disrupt the activities of organised crime groups. But in terms of Ellie's case, there is a major investigation ongoing at the moment, as you'd expect. Information continues to flood in, but those 2 lines of inquiry are key: the location of the black Mercedes and the location of the firearm.